Do you enjoy stress? Does bureaucracy, code enforcement, and process get you all hot and bothered? Is John D. Rockefeller your great-great-grandfather? And when he died in 1937, he left your great-grandfather a buttload of cash that was inherently passed down to you to light on fire. If any or all of these things are true, then building a rental property for other people to enjoy might just be for you. My name's Darren, that's Nico, and I'm spending a ton of money with reckless abandon. This is the Portlandia AFrame. So, welcome back to the channel, and let's get right into it. This video is going to be about the elephant in the room. The dirty four-letter word that everybody on YouTube seems to love to talk about when it comes to real estate, finance, investment, really anything having to do with making money, and that's cost. How much is it going to cost you? So this video specifically, we're going to focus on pre-construction cost. And what I mean by that is how much money is coming out of my pocket for a project of this scale prior to getting financing from a bank. So there's a number of things that go into pre-construction costs, starting at the very beginning with plans. Plans are the thing that you physically want to build, and they're available all over the internet. There's a lot of services and platforms that allow you to purchase plans. Next would be getting those plans structurally engineered so that they can physically be built in the area that you're looking to construct. Third is land, and the cost of land is going to vary widely based on the geography you're trying to build in. Here I'm on the West Coast, up in the Pacific Northwest of Oregon, and we'll go into the process that I use to search for land, as well as some of the different areas that I was investigating purchasing land. And hopefully that'll give you a general sense of what it costs to construct on the West Coast and in the Northwest. So fourth is land improvements, and this can vary widely depending on your purchase. Things like access, meaning your ability to get to the place where you actually want to build. Utilities, things like septic, water, electricity, internet. All of these things come with a cost, and if they're not already ready to go in the piece of land that you purchase, there's going to be an expense involved. Fifth is permits. So we're just getting into this piece now for this project in particular, and it's a doozy. Nothing like back and forth between yourself and the county on every little bit of code enforcement for the plans that you want to build. It takes a lot of time, it takes a lot of dedication, it's tedious, and you're gonna wanna take a vacation when you're done. And all of this kind of bundles up into what is required to obtain financing. So there's a lot of different routes to go for financing. For this project, I went with a construction to permanent loan. So that means it's a one close loan at a given interest rate, which are absurd right now, for 30 years, and at the end of construction, whether that's a 12 or 18-month time frame, it will automatically be converted into a permanent mortgage. The requirements to close a loan like this are lengthy, and I'll leave all of those details to another video that we'll cover after I've closed the loan. But as you can see, there's a lot that's gone into the past 6 to 10 months behind the scenes, not just work on the property itself. And it's left me feeling a little overwhelmed and stressed. So before we get into the numbers, I figure what better way to illustrate what I've been going through than a good old-fashioned meme dump.
This is fine. I'm okay with the events that are unfolding currently. That's okay. Things are gonna be okay.
Hey, Mr. Grumpy Gills. When life gets you down, you know what you gotta do?
I don't want to know what you gotta do.
Just keep swimming, just keep swimming, just keep swimming, swimming, swimming. What do? We swim.
All right, enough messing around. Let's go talk about some numbers. All right, so let's get into it. Plans, kinda hectic. Do you know what you want to build already, or are you looking? Do you fall in love with something on Instagram? It'll probably lead you close to one of these websites just like this. So Den is kind of like the behemoth of a plan seller, of an online plan seller. And they're actually even engaging now in hiring builders in certain parts of the country like New York and Texas to have a builder network to assemble these things for you so that they can more accurately price the project for your area. But all that being said, really what you get from Den is just a set of plans. Just it's easy to think that you can pay based on what you see on the website, $200 for a starter package, take it to a builder and get estimates for how much something's going to cost, $2,000 for plans including mechanical, electrical, plumbing, roofing, all that sort of stuff, and finishes. All that being said, even in $2,000, you're not done spending yet. So you got to take this to an engineer that's going to engineer the plans for your geography, and we'll talk about that next. But all that being said, with the plans that you receive from Den or from any provider, you're not done spending money yet. This is actually the outpost that we went with for the ADU for my project. We purchased the complete plans and then we had them engineered. So the plan set was, like I said, $2,100, and that comes with 3-dimensional CAD. And then we ended up spending an additional $4,500 for structural engineering for this structure. So significant expense just from the planning and engineering standpoint. Again, we can look at other providers such as Backcountry Hut Company. They do a similar thing. It's a modular cabin or AFrame. Really, you got to do your diligence in which kit you purchase. There's 1,000,001 options out there, and I'm not going to tell you which one's right for you or wrong for you, but know that the cost on the website doesn't tell the whole story. If you fall in love with a one-off like I did, this was like a very widely distributed, well-known build based in Hocking Hills, Ohio, the Dunlap Hollow A-frame cabin. So this will be a version of this is what we're building. Finishes will obviously be a little bit different, but if you fall in love with something like this, oftentimes the original builder will sell plans. So similar to that, they sell plans here, and yeah, you can kind of contact them directly and go from there. But I would definitely recommend having a couple options in mind, shopping around, showing some basic plans or some internet SketchUps to a builder, or take it to an architect too. You could take images and pictures of this structure here to an architect and have them draft it from scratch for probably less than you would pay Den or an individual to, but just make sure that there's no legal issues with something like that, because a lot of these are not copyrighted, but protected from a duplication standpoint without having to license the plans. So that's where we start from shopping for plans. And next I'm going to go into kind of what I received. All right, so what we have in front of us is what I would denote and call your basic plan set. So this is what you'll get for right around $2,000 from most providers. Your architect might design something for a little less, maybe a little more, but it basically just gives you a generic layout and a general sense of space for items and floor plans for what you want to build. Some give a little bit more information than others, but for the most part, it's floor plans, roof plans, elevations, window and door schedules, so you can shop those out to get prices for your windows and doors. If there's any stairs or multiple stories, you can have the stair specifications there to get those sent out for quoting. Additionally, you have a general, very, very basic structural framing plan, but this will obviously be redone when you go to get structural engineering done. Here we have, basic framing plans. Here's your lighting and power floor plan on all 3 stories of the AFrame. And this is power for electrical outlets. Here's our mechanical plan for HVAC and venting. Our plumbing floor plan. All this is what's included in your basic plan sets. And then here's a very general layout for what was done on the original builder's foundation plans. Obviously, we're not following this. We're building on footings and a framed crawl space, or sorry, a framed floor and a crawl space. So a lot of this was not necessarily useful for what we were going to end up doing. But all that being said, you have to have some place to start, and this is what that $2,000 gets you. So overall for plans, we're at a total of $2,500 for the AFrame structure itself, $1,950 for the basic plans, and another $550 for the 3-dimensional CAD required for the next step, structural engineering. Obviously, the other structures as part of this project have similar costs associated with them, but I'm only going to cover the main cabin structure in this video. All right, so next up is structural engineering. It's a lot of behind-the-scenes sort of work that's done by an engineer or an engineering firm that you hire in order to select materials and run calculations for the structure in the area that you intend to build it in. So you can't just go out and build in the woods like we all wish we could. There is code requirements for wind load, snow load, seismic if you're in an earthquake-prone area, and all of these things are what is taken into account the materials that are selected for engineering your structure. So you pay an engineering firm and they select materials and define connections, as you see on this page here. They provide you with a detailed foundation plan for where maybe concrete columns and how wide your footings are going to need to be in order to support the entire structure. Like for us, we have a crawl space beneath a framed floor, like I mentioned earlier. And so all of this stuff is denoted by the engineer. Here we have our first and second floor framing plans and how our ridge is connected in the A-frame. So it's all very critical stuff that the engineer does, and then it's stamped by this firm for the state that you live in order to let the county know that it was engineered by a licensed group. So this one's pretty straightforward, $4,500 paid to an engineering firm to certify this structure as compliant to code for Oregon. This can vary widely depending on where you live and who you have do the work, but I would definitely recommend that you involve your builder in this process. It's something that I didn't have done at this point in time, where if I had my builder reviewing the engineering edits coming back in real time, I could have saved some headache with some of the materials chosen. So definitely try and engage your builder, your concrete contractor, and your framer at the very least at this stage. It seems very early in the process to have to know who all those people are, but if you do by chance know who you want to hire to build, definitely get them involved at this stage. All right, so feasibility is one of those things that I think anybody would really encourage you to do with at least one or multiple builders. This is a process that takes quite a bit of time, in which you take your plans, you provide them to a builder, and then they go to their subcontractors to get estimates for how much that material and that labor will cost. And these break down into a whole bunch of line items, as you see here, which are generic sometimes, but specific in others. They're estimates of what each one of these things would cost. So excavation, dig outs, utilities, framing, plumbing, electrical, masonry, siding, exterior decking, HVAC, electrical, millwork, cabinets. Insane, right? All of these things likely has an invoice behind it. And then you get to a number at the end and you decide whether you can afford to build it or not. So definitely would recommend everybody to seek out a handful of builders, probably select your top 2 or 3, and then go through this process with each one of them. It can be expensive, but in the end, I think it will save you some money if you find a builder that is willing to work within your budget. All right, so for me personally, I shopped around between 2 builders. One charged $2,500 to do a really piss poor feasibility study for me, to be quite honest with you. And the second builder was quite in depth and charged notably less. So this is another one of those things. Use references, people. Like, talk to people who have built similar things to what you want to build. Get references. Use family, friends. Use uncles. There's a way around spending a ton of money here. So yeah, do your best. So this is where the trouble starts, right, everybody? You end up on the internet late at night looking at things you're not supposed to. And that's what got me. I essentially found a $75,000 piece of land right here in the Columbia River Gorge. And I suddenly thought, oh, well, wow, I can be within proximity of great hiking and waterfalls up in the Columbia River Gorge. I can be within, 40 minutes of Mount Hood for snowboarding, skiing, and fishing and hiking all year round. $75,000 doesn't sound too terribly bad for like a 1.5-acre, 2-acre property. When I walked it, I realized that it was on a major slope, and that all of the costs that we've already discussed would skyrocket if I closed on that property. So even after putting an offer in, I ended up retracting that and continuing my search. But for all intents and purposes, my search really span the entire region on the screen right now. So I was shopping up outside Olympic National Park, on the islands surrounding Bremerton, Silverdale, and Gig Harbor, all the way out into kind of like the Seebeck area. I was also looking up towards the mountains outside of Seattle, out through Sultan Index and out towards Stevens Pass, and everything up in Snoqualmie. So I toured a couple properties in Snoqualmie and Clay Elum. All of this stuff up here is crazy expensive now. I think it was bought up by all the techies in the 70s and 80s in the Seattle. So property up there is just insanely expensive. I was looking around Mount Rainier and down here into Battleground on southern Washington. Still decent access to places like Mount St. Helens. And if you really wanted to make a trek, you could come down to Mount Hood for some winter activity. But I think all in all, I got really, really lucky. We ended up down here in Mount Hood Village, which is really only about 15 to 20-minute drive down to Govey, government camp. And we'll have really spectacular access to a couple of ski resorts. So this is Timberline Ski Resort. And we also have Mount Hood Meadows and Ski Bowl. So there's 3 resorts on the mountain for winter activities. And we also are wedged in here between the Salmon River and the Sandy and Zigzag River. So a ton of amazing hiking in the area. There's actually even a 27-hole golf course just about a mile up the road from where the property is. So it's pretty incredible, beautiful place. I'm really, I think I lucked out because, like I said, I had offers down on other places and was so naive and so gung-ho about making something work that I probably would have cut off my nose to spite my face. So to end up in Mount Hood Village is very exciting for me. So obviously we're on a Zillow platform here. You got to find something within your budget, first of all. Set a budget for land, have an estimate of how much it's going to cost to build your structure from your feasibility study, and then just spend time, go shopping, use the web for what it's for. Get on Redfin. Here's Landio. If you're lucky enough to live in some of the places that Landio finds plots of land, sometimes there's crazy stuff like way out in rural Colorado, you can get 120 acres for like $15,000. I don't know. If you want to live out there and you're willing to put in the work and get the utilities there, like this, 160 acres for $50,000 in Wyoming. Of course, there's literally nothing around you, but do your shopping, figure out where you want to be, and I don't know, best of luck. It took me about a year of searching till I lucked out on the piece of land that I did, and like I said, I'm super stoked that it worked out the way it did. So happy hunting, everybody. So this one's a doozy. In the words of Lloyd from Dumb and Dumber, that's better than cash, my friend. That's an IOU. You're going to want to hang on to that one. $152,500 for a 1.5 acre plot of land in Mount Hood, Oregon. It's had a little bit of sticker shock on this one. It's pretty tough check to cash, but worked a lot of my early career, saved up as much money as I could, and decided it was time. So out came the checkbook, and we wrote we wrote the check for this one. It was painful, but for the broader dream, I think it fits. We actually just had an appraisal done for this piece of land, and apparently I had purchased within a 10-mile radius. I had purchased the lowest price piece of land in the previous 12 months, and since then it has been estimated that it's appreciated over $20,000 to $25,000 from the date at which I purchased it in March. So all in all, I look at it as a good investment. It's already making me money, and we're gonna, on the way from here. One thing I did want to mention, you do want to keep tabs on how these plots of land are zoned. You got to do your diligence with the county. This one in particular is MRR zoned, and out here that means Mountain Recreational Resort. So you're able to put a lot of various different things on an MRR zone property, including multiple residences. So those of you interested in land hacking and putting multiple residences on a single plot of land, you got to make sure you know how they're zoned. All right, so this video is very quickly getting away from me. Just to try and wrap it up, obviously the way that you purchase your land isn't necessarily going to be in a state where you can achieve the financing requirements required by the bank in order to get your loan. So sometimes you have to add value to the land out of pocket. This might include access in the form of driveways, as well as utilities, piping them in from the road or where they currently exist. So septic systems, water, electricity, internet, all those types of things, you're going to have to pull them from where they exist. And if that's a long way, it's going to be pretty expensive. So just to break it down, from a septic standpoint, I did an initial feasibility study for septic and dug some test pits, and that was $1,500. And I paid for septic design, which was $500. We have yet to install septic on site, as that's going to come out of the financing once done, not required to apply for my loan. We had a survey done for $1,800. This marked out stakes of property boundaries so that no neighbors could argue that I was infringing on their property, as well as to define the setbacks. We had to dig a well for water. The well cost $18,000, $18,746, and I had to wait 9 months in order to get it dug. So that was a beast of an expense. We also had to install a well pump and pay for lab testing for water quality. So far, that's been $2,847.50. Beyond that, if we get into electricity, we had to dig a trench, lay some conduit, and pay labor for that trench, and that was $6,340. We had to add additional temp power conduit for $253. We had to pay PG&E to pull the cable and install a transformer on the lot, and that was $8,430.17. We had to pay for temp power for 6 months. That's been $865. And I just have a minor expense for a mini-X or an auger rental for a weekend for burying some of that conduit at $507. And then with regards to driveway, we had supplemental 1-inch conduit and road fabric for the driveway. That was $1,140. 3-inch base rock for the driveway came in at $1,900. It was a lot of rock. And then the labor for digging out the driveway was $4,150. That's it. That was all of the improvements that we've made to the land thus far in order to apply for our permit. All right, so that about does it. Thanks for sticking with me. I know it was a long video, but hopefully you learned something. Hopefully it was informative and educates you as you move down your own construction journey. When we sum it all up, the grand total comes to. So that gets us into permitting. We'll go over permitting a little bit later as I'm still working through some of those expenses. But what do you think? What did I overpay for? What did I get ripped off on? Did I save a good amount of money anywhere? Let me know in the comments. But yeah, thanks for watching, guys. And I hope you got something out of the video, and will join me on the next one. Have a good one. Thanks. Hey guys, don't forget to like this video and subscribe to the channel if you enjoyed yourself. And it helps me out a lot and keeps me motivated to keep making content. You'll also get notified when we release new videos as we head towards construction in the spring. Hope you guys enjoy your winter. Take care.